If there's a vehicle that polarizes in love or hate, people often say, yeah, it's the Nissan Juke. And over the last about 9 years, 1 million people said love. That's actually quite significant in numbers because it was also one of the earliest small crossovers or small SUVs. Now today we have the new generation here for you. And here on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars. Today with Thomas, we're going to examine exterior, interior, talking about the engine, and also what else to expect from this new generation of the Nissan Juke. In full HD, full screen, and full length. Let's go! In the front, the new generation looks a little bit more dynamic than the outgoing model, but it keeps the characteristic round headlamps, but now comes standard with LED and also here the very slim LED daytime running light. So this is the main headlamp unit LED and the LED daytime running light. This one here is also the so-called N design pack, so that's the sporty design package. More influence on the interior, but here you can see, for example, those black accentuations here in the lower part. And other than that, indeed, it looks a little bit sportier than before, but you can still see that this one here is the Juke. It still has a very, characteristic design in the front. A lot of round shapes still, making it, something like a toy car. And was also one of the reasons why it was so polarizing. 4 meters 21, 13'8" or 166 inches. That's the new length, and that's 8 centimeters longer than before or 3 inches longer than before. Also have a slightly longer wheelbase that will have an effect on the interior of the car. We'll soon experience that together. It starts with either 16-inch steel wheels, then you get 17-inch alloys, and then there's directly a step to those ones here, exclusively in this N design pack, the maximum 19-inch rims. So that looks really massive. Will have a negative impact on the driving. We'll soon find out more about that. Today, the static review and the N design pack also has the black accentuation right here, the shiny one, and also comes with a roof in a contrasting color here in black. There are different contrasting colors available. If you would have the base spec, then it would be also in the vehicle color, for example, and you don't have this, black pad right there. But the N design pack, well, the biggest difference is definitely that you can get those 19-inch rims and also more individualization on the interior later on. This new Nissan Juke here, by the way, sits on a new platform called CMF-B, also shared by the Renault Captur or the Renault Clio. Very interesting. And it's indeed compact size and again, a little bit longer than before. So you can see here also the black fitting mirrors, then those crossover wheel arches, and then this very typical design still here with very strong shoulders, integrated door handles for the rear doors right there. Soon more deals to that, because there has been a lot of changes also to the rear seats. And for example, when you have the car then in the top part in vehicle color, then this black split here will remain the same, and then it looks like a flying roof. Here it looks a little bit more connected when it's also in the black color. So, what's your take on the design here? By the way, please subscribe if you haven't done so far. You will always get the latest reviews here on Autogefühl. Here now the rear of the new Nissan Juke. It has a very three-dimensional look, especially with this falling rear window. Very interesting. But then this line is very much upright, and this will be better than for the trunk space. We'll soon take a look at that inside, how that one changed. Then very modern tail lamps right there with this LED signature. Pretty cool, definitely. And sums up also for designers because, you have the sporty, diffuser style, something in the rear, but then there are no fake exhaust, and it's good to keep this very honest design. By the way, this car here is still built in the UK, Sunderland plant, will be also the very same for this new generation. Have you ever seen the Fuji sunset in Japan from the famous mountain? Well, that's how Nissan designers think the color looks like. So this one is called Fuji Sunset, and it's something, a mix of red and orange. So very interesting color definitely, and some more variation here for you. Would you go for the white one or for this one? This one here also with the N design package and with the 19-inch wheels. Of course, more colors will be available. And another rear 3/4 perspective where you can really see the design shapes of the car. For example, also this integrated top wing, which helps with the aerodynamics of the car, that all of the airstream is directed right there. As for engines, well, no hydraulic strut, but I think in this segment with this price, I think it's okay. It's beeping, by the way, because it's powered at the moment here, also with those clamps here, that it stays powered here also in our studio. That won't be with your car, of course. This one here is the only available engine. It's a 1-liter 3-cylinder turbo petrol engine with 117 horsepower, 6-speed manual gearbox or 7-speed dual clutch transmission. And the whole car is, by the way, 23 kilograms lighter than the predecessor generation. Now to the interior, where we'll have keyless entry when pressing this button here. And there we go, this one with the keyless entry button. And door closing sound test. Yeah, it sounds quite solid. Then we have new materials at the inside of the doors, for example. Here a softer leatherette, and I feel that it could be the same supplier than, for example, the Mercedes A-Class has. Just from the, it's a very high-class leatherette, so no animal ingredient. Well done. Hardpack, however, on the top part of the door right here. Reasonable door pockets. And then there's the first speaker of this optional 8-speaker Bose sound system. One here, then there's another one, like, in this area somewhere. And then later on more deals to that soon. Steering wheel here, flat bottom, quite sporty. Controls here at the steering wheel for the volume on the right and left side for the adaptive cruise control. The AEB, autonomous emergency brake, is standard on all Juke, and optional then the ACC, and also the blind spot monitor, so either optional or with higher trims. Very interesting. Then those seats here, always you get seats with integrated head restraint as standard, but rather in black fabric then. I can also recommend those. This one then is part of 3 choices in the N design pack. The one I recommend here too is you have fabric here on the inside that also stays cool in summer and warm in winter. And then a sustainable leatherette also on the outside with a great black-white contrast. And then this hole then for a sporty look. So this one then is the option N design package seat. And here also with the Bose speaker, which is integrated in the seat. So 2 speakers then per seat. And with 4 in the front and 2 here makes total then of 8 speakers for this Bose sound system. And we already did a test before that, was sounding very nice, very nice. And here, again, this color scheme is like this. And then there's another one I can also soon show to you where there's Alcantara, but then some parts are done real animal. And then there's an orange theme, which is all real animal, or at least parts real animal, parts leatherette. We do not recommend them. So either stick with the base seats with the black fabric and save some money, or if you go for the N design pack, this one is the way to go. And of course, it's really very well fitting to the exterior of the car. That's also what they try to do, that it's always, matches exterior and interior. We have also, this wide area here, for example, also covered in this soft touch leatherette. So great step forward as for the quality of materials. Seat here with a manual control, pump it up, y'all. But here I put it to the lowest position that we can check the headroom with 1.86 m or 6'1". And that leaves plenty of headroom in the front, no problem. Steering wheel can be adjusted here in reach and also in height, sorry. Yeah, well, hiking, yeah, something that's also fun. So there's also a new seating position here, so you sit a little bit better, a little bit more upright than before. And yeah, so far it makes a good impression. I mean, it's not a huge car and the seats are also not too long, so we'll have to see about the driving review, how it turns out as for the comfort for tall drivers. But I feel definitely, step forward if you compare it to the predecessor generation. So, but I think most important thing to me is that the first impression is we have more quality materials besides, the top part of the doors. And there's more about infotainment and so on. Let's join it here deeper. Now the interior overview, again with this N-Design pack in the white line. Then we have the high-class leatherette here also on top of the dashboard. It's so well done. And then also the other new finishes, like here, those floating vents, and they even have a nice clicking sound when you move them. They really paid attention to details. Then this manual climate unit still available, and even this one feels, haptically very, very well. Then heated seats, new 8-inch screen, soon more deals to that. That's not my music, that's from the demo phone. I'm listening to more high-class trance. Yeah, let's leave it like this. And in the lower area, there's a USB connection then for the either Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and the 12-volt power supply as well. Rest of the lower area here then with the 6-speed manual gearbox, but there's also the 7-speed DCT available if you like. Ambient lighting, very nicely done, joyful around the gear shifting lever. Then there's also the drive mode selector, push it up for sports. Then you have a little bit more, for example, steering feedback. And when you have the DCT, it will also change, the gears in a sporty direction, and lower to the eco mode, which reduces the throttle input. Sport, of course, increases throttle input, and push it again to get to the standard mode again. There's an electric handbrake then to save some space in the lower area next to cup holders, which are not adaptive. And last but not least, there's this nice leatherette cover also for the armrest, which is, well, I'd say I think it's not that well attached, but since it's squeezed between the seats, you cannot move it anyway for a shake test. And there's some space underneath, but no more supply. Yeah, Jonas with the move with the tripod, way to go. So let's close it again, because last thing to show you before we go in depth on the screen, again, the steering wheel in the sporty style with the flat bottom has the right side for the car. You activate the ACC on the right side, pick up the phone, for example, and then some digital controls here on the left. Then you can control the driver's assistance systems, for example. Analog dials left and right, and then this small digital screen on the inside, which has now decent resolution there, also trip, and of course a digital speedometer will be in there. Traffic sign recognition is also standard on this car, by the way. That's also cool. Yeah, and about the materials, again, I mentioned the leatherette here, which is also very nice, and the contrast styling here. This one here also soft touch leatherette, and only the top part here behind the screen, which you can see is hard. Even this part here in the very front is soft touch. So again, yeah, we can move that a little bit. I think that's totally okay. So again, I'm really impressed what I've done here as for the material upgrades. Another nice detail is the ambient light, which is, there's a big gap, yes, but that also makes it appear a little bit stronger. So very interesting solution. And some details to the top infotainment screen as it is right now. That's the way Apple CarPlay is shown, and they really use all of the screen. That's good. Then you have also a hotkey to the map, GPS map here. We're in Cologne today for you. And then you can still, I like to have this knob to be able to zoom while driving. That's good. But of course, you could also use the touchscreen, but that's handier as a co-driver. But then you can see you have this search mode. So, that's inverting, I don't like that. I'm more like the smartphone experience, which goes in the same. Do you see what I mean, right? But again, that shows once more that it's better to use the zoom knob while driving, and the volume knob here also still separated. There is also a home menu that looks like this. That doesn't look, too overview-ish at the very first sight, but the most thing you'll use is the map for the GPS, and then probably the CarPlay or the Android Auto. And there's also a camera button right there in the studio here today. Yeah, resolution could be a little bit better as for that. And if you have the top, assistant system pack, then you also have this 3D around view camera. Oh, and hey, we have the first ISOFIX connection here already on the co-driver seat in the front. That's also a nice solution. What about the rear compartment? First of all, again, you have this integrated handle here on the top part. Why not? And a very interesting, unique door closing sound for the rear doors. But doesn't sound too bad, so nicely done. Then, well, the opening is quite okay, I think, and then hardback in on the top. But then again, this soft touch leather, and it really reminds me of the supplier they have for the Mercedes A-Class for the high-class leatherette. So big step forward, definitely. And also reasonable door pockets right there. And when you have the Bose sound system, so it's not 10 speakers, this one here is a fake or blind speaker then, because you don't need them when you have the Bose sound system, because the integrated head restraint speakers also serve for the rear seats, but they just left it for cost reasons there because the entry version has it right there. Then you can see already here you will have a little bit more space, soon more about that, and you have the same cool design, the black and white contrast in the rear. So I mean, I love blue exterior cars definitely, but when you have this white black interior, it only makes sense to go for the black white exterior. So probably I would take the car just exactly as it stands here right now. Very cool. Then let's get inside. And in the predecessor Juke, I could not sit here when I was also in the front seat before and left the seat as it is. And now 6 centimeters more legroom. And indeed, you can drive this easily now with 4 tall adults. That's definitely an improvement. Yeah, of course, the car is a little bit longer than, but I think parking-wise, you can still live with that. Headroom increased by about 1 centimeter. So I can even put a hand over my head still when I'm sitting here. And since this area here, it looks like very strong from the exterior, but you have enough space on the interior for your left shoulder. So again, quite reasonable. You can flip the seats already from here, like this. You have ISOFIX at the outside of the seats each, then for the child seats. There it is. And the other split would be here then, the 2/3 split. We'll soon also flip that from the trunk. And again, the seating position here is actually quite upright and cozy, and also the seat bolstering is soft enough, so it's actually very decently comfortable. So from the exterior, this car does not look like the most comfortable one, but especially here in the new generation, they have increased the comfort. So I really have to say, so far I was not convinced at all with the Nissan Juke in the predecessor generation, but this one here, like, massive step forward in a lot of different respects. So I'm really positively surprised. I mean, seeing this car for the first time myself here right today. And then here in the middle console, there's not a big middle tunnel. It's quite okay. Front wheel drive only this car, of course, but still for rigidity reasons. And then there's another USB port or supply right there, and some like small carby holder, and you can put the smartphone in here when you have the cable connected. Yeah, but I think one of the most positive surprises here, definitely the comfort in the rear. We all know the Juke did not have a big trunk. It was then, facelifted, corrected, a little bit bigger. But here, this new generation, yeah, it's about 420 liters now. That's a massive step forward again. This one is at the moment when you don't want to have a big loading sill, so you can put this cover up like this. Then you have this area here for some hangers. And let me give you the measurements right there. And that is here about 72 centimeters in length and about 1 meter in width. And the height here at the moment would be about 35 centimeters. Of course, you can also remove this cover here, and you can also flip the seats. But first, I want to show you that you can remove the split like this. Then you can temporarily maybe put it in this position here, for example, to load in and out or something. You can completely put it out. That would be possible. There's also like sample suitcase or whatever in there. And then the height here is at more than 50, so about 54 centimeters in height. So you can be a little bit flexible with that. Or of course you can also put it in, and when there's nothing underneath, you can also store it a little bit better. But most probably you would leave it like this for just easier handling. And then we can also flip the seats. Well, you have to reach over right here. It's a little bit complicated, and sometimes when the seat belt is fixed, then it won't flip. So yeah, this does it now at the moment. Now the seat belt loosen a little bit. So, and here we go. So that's done all the way flipped. And this is of course better than when this split cover is in place, because then you have an even loading surface up to the front seats. And that would be then here 1 meters and 50. So more flexibility than before, more trunk space, and again, I think you can definitely live with that. So that could indeed be in like a first vehicle, even maybe for a small family. It's more a normal compact size now. This is the second choice for the N design pack. On the interior, you have here an Alcantara inside of the doors. That's pretty cozy, also maybe a little bit sportier. But again, the bright leather red also look pretty cool. You also have the Alcantara then here on the left part and also on the rest of the dashboard. And then different seats with some Alcantara inside right there and also in this upper part. But then you also have more animal skin parts, a mix of leather red and animal skin. So I would definitely stick with the white one. Although, I mean, the black Alcantara is also quite nice. You also had the cover from, for example, here from the, from this hidden department right there, from the armrest. And again, if you look over to there, to the right next to the screen, you have also some Alcantara applications. But definitely, I think, yeah, this black-white contrast we've seen earlier, that's really more fitting to the car. And now to our conclusion for today with the all-new Nissan Juke. Exterior-wise, I think a little bit less polarizing than before. Might it be because the front has been just modernized, or might it be the reason that so many other cars in this segment meanwhile surged that it's not so unique anymore? I don't know, but definitely it has remained, this very round, joyful toy car character that is still the same. Of course, the car a little bit longer, but the big advantage is you have more legroom now, so you can better use it, as a primary vehicle, for example. And the key thing to me is that the quality of the interior materials have been massively upgraded. Of course, even more visible here in this special trim here we had today with this N design pack on the interior. Also better infotainment system, easier to use, especially with the smartphone connection. And also more comfort, especially in the rear. We'll see how it plays as for the long-term comfort in the front, but definitely there's more comfort in the rear and also more luggage space. So in every single detail, this car has been made better than before. So I really have to say that the previous generation Juke was not my kind of car, and also I wasn't so happy about the interior and so on. But this one here, definitely a massive step forward. It's really, not that often that we see so big difference from one generation to another. This one is really the case. Of course, we're looking forward to drive this car. So if you're joining this review at a later stage, maybe the driving review will already be online. If you're watching this, very freshly, then you have to wait a little bit that we also can drive this car. Again, there will just be this one petrol engine so far, which you can understand because of the new EU emission rules. So there most probably also won't be a Nismo version anymore and not all-wheel drive, so front-wheel drive only, because they have to keep the CO2 output low, which is of course also a good thing. So what's your take? Please give me your feedback on the Nissan Juke. Is it still like this love or hate car? Would really like to hear your opinion on that. Subscribe if you haven't done so far here to Autogefühl and also to our other channel, of course, so both Autogefühl and Autogefühl, wherever you're watching this video, and see you next time.